my gosh, this is not looking cute. Like, you know you apply makeup and you know you look good, but you don't feel anything on your face. But I have a very unpopular opinion to it, which is to use a brush with a cushion foundation. We are back with a good old cushion foundation review, and today we will be checking out the Tirtir Mask Fit Red Cushion. Now this cushion is everywhere right now. Everybody and their grandmothers, mothers, children, they're talking about this cushion foundation, and I did put this to the test in the last 2 weeks. I've been wearing it to office, wearing it for long periods of time, 10 to 14 hours in Singapore's humidity. It feels like 37 degrees, but actually it's only 30 degrees. It's that kind of level of heat and sweat and all that kind of thing. So that's for your reference. And the shade that I'm wearing right now is 21W Natural Ivory. So I did pick this shade. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a little bit too yellow? Because I feel like this has a very strong yellow undertone, and I consider myself as a cool olive with a yellow overtone. So okay, I'll save that part for later. And anyway, let's get into the main chunk of the review. Oh yes, and for your reference also, I have dry combination skin that is slightly acne prone. As you can see, I am breaking out right now over here. It's the time of the month and all that kind of shenanigans. If you plan on getting this cushion foundation over here, you can get it online. It is available on Amazon, and if I'm not wrong, it's the top foundation or cushion foundation being sold over there. And if you want to buy it not from Amazon, you can get it on YesStyle. It is available over there as well. And if you want to save some money, you can use my code itskrystle to save a little bit of coins and moolah. It is an affiliated code, so if you watch the whole video and you choose to get the product itself and you use my code, thank you so much for supporting my channel. Tirtir describes the Mask Fit Red Cushion as something with high coverage, high adhesion with a semi-matte finish, and honestly, that sounds too good to be true, but it is pretty true. I quite agree with the claims that they made. I am the most impressed with the coverage of this particular cushion, because sometimes I try out other K-beauty brands, I'm oh yeah, this is pretty high coverage, it does cover pretty well, but this is next level. A little bit does go a long way with this cushion foundation. And honestly, I don't go in with a full surface area of the puff. You just do a little half dip-ish almost, and you just spread it across your face. You're good to go. I do not recommend this with 2 layers. I think 2 layers is a little bit too cakey to my liking. I did actually film this video last week, but I kind of scraped it, and I must say, I did went in with 2 layers to kind of show oh, 1 layer and 2 layer, here's the difference, that kind of thing. And honestly, you can't really tell the difference between the second layer and the first layer. I think for an everyday kind of situation, you don't really have to go in with a lot of product. So I think this is good for people who just want something to just pop all over your face, and that's more or less it. Tirtir did say that there is a slight healthy glow to it, which I do agree, but because I always set my foundations with powder, even right now, whatever's on glowing my cheeks is a little bit of highlighter. Personally for me, I have to set down my foundations, especially in Singapore's humidity. If not, everything will slide off my face. So that semi-glow, healthy glow thing, I don't really look for it per se, because I just know that the moment I set down my foundation, it's not going to be there. So I just have to recreate or mimic that healthy glow with other products. Okay, but with that being said, I feel people who are new to cushion foundations, or maybe just a beginner, you're new to makeup, you've seen this cushion foundation going viral right now, and you're wondering oh, I want to pick this cushion foundation up. You can, obviously, you do you, it's your money. I just want to say, just go in carefully with smaller amounts of product, because I think it's very easy to over apply. So as much as people say when you go into the cushion foundation and you apply the whole surface area of the cushion over here, do not fully press in, because it will pick up so much product, and then when you apply it all over your face, it's like too much product and you're like not sure of how to get rid of the excess product on your face. So normally in those type of scenarios, what I'll do is like when you press onto the cushion, you tap the excess on the back like a little bit, and then you just start to evenly like dispense the product. So you can start with like one area here, and one area here. So you kind of like even it out a little bit. I've seen a couple of videos where people make this mistake where they take the whole cushion puff, press it in really hard, too much product is on the puff itself, and then they go in straight. At that point, it will be very tedious to kind of like try and remove any excess product. So I always recommend people to just tap a little bit of excess on the back of your hand. In terms of durability and wear, I must say that I was very impressed with the Tirtir cushion because it really did hold up very well in Singapore's humidity. When I wear this to the office, I'm usually only wearing one layer alone by itself, and I do wear spectacles on a daily basis. I don't really wear contact. It is very normal for the cushion to wear off first around like the nose bridge area, like the nose pad area around here. And because I was sick last week or so, and that's why I sound a little bit like nasally as well, I was blowing my nose, touching this cheek area over here, and the foundation obviously wore off first as well around this area right below my eyes because my spectacles are big and it touches the surface of the glass as well. So I think that's pretty normal. Even though it wears off, it doesn't look very obvious that it wore off. There's still a little bit of coverage to it. For the first like 3 to 4 hours, you would get this perfect face, high coverage, that kind of thing. But sometime like by after lunch, so they're talking about like 1 to 2, 2 to 3, around that period of time, then you'll start to see a little bit of imperfections showing through. I would say that this area here will retain maybe like 65% of coverage by the end of the day when I knock off from work. So it's like 7 p.m-ish when I do that final check-in. There is obviously a bit of shine because humidity and all that kind of stuff, but I will touch up with a little bit of powder in office, and you know what, it's pretty much okay. The coverage really stays the same more or less throughout the entire day when it comes to like this area, basically areas that I don't really like touch too much. Even though this cushion foundation is like high coverage, right, it still looks very skin-like. And when I actually remove my makeup, especially when I do eye makeup and I remove it, you can see the difference between my actual skin color and the foundation color itself. I was like, wow, nobody will like really know it's not my skin. The formula of this cushion foundation is lightweight upon first application, midday, and even end of the day. Like you really don't feel anything that is on your face, and it doesn't like split or crease, all that kind of stuff, unless you over apply. When you over apply with this particular cushion foundation, I feel that the creasing is a little bit more prominent, and especially around the corners of the nose, the smile lines over here. More or less, I would just try to pat it out because sometimes I do over apply and it's not like evenly like spread out in thin layers because I'm in a rush for the day. So it does happen. Based on my experience testing out like high coverage foundations, especially with Western brands, those high coverage, no pores, no acne, no nothing, you cannot see anything, it's literally like paint, that kind of high coverage. Sometimes it can feel very stuffy and suffocating throughout the day, and you just feel like there's a layer of something on your face. Not with this cushion. This cushion really, it feels like nothing almost. Like you know you apply makeup and you know you look good, but you don't feel anything on your face. Yeah, it's that good. I am really impressed with how this cushion performed for me throughout the entire day. If you're finding this video helpful so far, I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like button down below, and also to subscribe if you would love to hear more K-beauty news and reviews. I must say that my first impression of this cushion foundation was not great because I had this pimple on my upper lip over here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but over here, and I just wanted to cover it up a little bit more, so I went in with a pressed powder, and that was like my first time ever using this cushion, okay? And it just separated on me so badly. You could see it caking up on my skin by like midday, so this was like right after lunch, and I was like shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not looking cute. Plus the fact that I was meeting a friend afterwards, so I had dinner and all that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not look cute like this, and I tried to reapply, touch up a little bit with this cushion, and it was just not sticking to the skin at all. Like, it just didn't want to apply nicely, and it only made matters worse. So I was like, oh no, I look like crap, so I'm just gonna live with it, I guess. And lo and behold, my first impression of it wasn't great. That's why. Now, that incident was my fault, user error, because I usually do not use colored pressed powder on my skin. So I actually went back to my trusty Laura Mercier powder, the translucent setting powder. Where is it? Yes, this one over here, and everything from there went smoothly. Like the application, the experience, it just worked out so much better. So I think for my skin, I just really cannot use colored pressed powder because it's a little bit too drying for me, and because I have dry combination skin, it just doesn't work out for me. Quick tip when it comes to using this Tirtir cushion foundation, make sure you go in with 3 fingers, and when you press in, make sure you use the surface area, the main chunk over here. Don't just use the tip of it and just press in like this. I think this is okay if maybe you're doing areas, for example, like around the nose, maybe you want to get in there a little bit better. I think doing this method and poking like this is fine, but the general surface area of your skin, make sure to use this general area over here. And like I said, don't press in fully like this. You can just press in lightly, because whatever product that ends up on the cushion over here, it might seem like the product is not being spread evenly across the whole surface area here. Maybe a little bit more here, a little bit more here, that kind of thing. Completely fine. Just make sure. Tap 1, 2, or even 1. A little bit of excess on the back of your hand, and then you just dab. Because I genuinely feel like if you were to just go in straight like this, it's too much product. You can even use the back over here. This is what I usually would normally do with my other cushion foundations, but this one feels a little bit more fragile and a little bit more shaky. Mine was already like that when it came in the mail, so I always use the back of my hand as like a clean palette, and it works out for me. When you tap off the excess on the back of your hand and dab it onto your face, this way you get thinner layers of product. It's spreaded out evenly, and in this kind of scenario where it's like thin layers would lead to better adhesion compared to if you were to just press in, go straight onto the face. The product is a little bit more thick, a little bit more cakey, and that way the product will not really like stick and adhere to your skin as well as compared to thin layers. So that's my tip. Also, I've seen a couple of people doing this other application method, but I have a very unpopular opinion to it, which is to use a brush with a cushion foundation. I just want to say why. No, the product type was built to use with a puff itself, which the puff is right over here. This was meant for like the ease of application. Just slip your finger in and just apply on your face. I do not see the purpose of using a foundation brush with a cushion foundation. If you're gonna use a brush, I feel like, just use a traditional liquid foundation. I think that will work out. Now let's go into more detail with the color itself. I do have 21W Natural Ivory right now on my face, and I would describe myself as like a cool olive undertone, and I lean tonally around like light to light medium. I do feel that I have an overtone of cool yellow, which is also somewhat muted and sallow. I realized in the recent months and years that I've been experimenting with like foundations and shades and all that kind of stuff, a lot of foundations with grayish undertone actually work out really well for me. This foundation, yes, it's yellow. There's that yellowish undertone. It's not like a cheese yellow, but I feel that this is a tad bit too bright for me. When I compare it to the rest of my body, it's very obvious sometimes when I wear certain colors on my body and my face. It's yellow. Especially like last week, it's very obvious. I feel like today it's not as obvious. It's a little bit, more put together. But sometimes alone by itself, it can look a little bit too yellow. I did swatch 21N when I was in Tokyo, Japan in stores, and I thought that it looked okay, but it did lean like a tad bit orange for me. I think that 21W, it works out for me, like tonally it does match. I feel that the first initial application, it does look, a little bit brighter, not like paper white. It doesn't really have a strong white base, but it's just a little bit lighter because obviously it's wet, it's trying to dry down, that kind of thing. And when it does dry down, it kind of dries down 1 to 1.5 shades tonally deeper, to the point where it's like okay, I can wear this color out the door, that kind of thing. It's definitely way much more wearable and it goes pretty well with the rest of my body. The fragrance of this cushion, there is a slight fragrance to it. It's nothing floral, nothing strong. It's leaning more towards like a, like baby powder, cosmetic-y kind of smell. It's clean-ish. And you can't really smell it until you put your nose to the cushion itself. And even right now, when I'm wearing it on my face, I actually don't smell anything. So if you are sensitive to smells, I think you should be fine. The only not so great thing I'm gonna mention about this cushion foundation is that it's definitely on the pricier side of things. So I bought this cushion foundation on Shopee through the official store itself of Tirtir. I paid around 27 Singapore dollars and it only comes with a cushion like this. There is no refill for this. Comparing it to other Asian brands out there who are also producing cushion foundations, this is like middle of the road. Not say very expensive like luxury, but neither is it very affordable like road shop brands like, for example, Misha, Etude, that price point. No, this is like a step or two higher. Even for the more pricier K-beauty brands, so for example, at the top of my head would be like Clio, Espoir. These two brands, when you actually buy a cushion from them, usually they will give you a refill as well. So this doesn't come with a refill. So imagine, example, $27 or $26 for example, easier to break down. It's about $13 per cushion, for example, with Clio or Espoir. This one doesn't have that refill, and you end up paying like double the price for like one cushion if you want to like girl math it, I guess. And if I'm not wrong, I think Tirtir doesn't sell refills. If not, it's only like 2 or 3 colors. Only 17C, 21N, and 23N has the refill being sold on the Shopee store. If you do use up this cushion foundation, you have to repurchase the whole cushion itself, which I'm just like, at that one, I can't really justify doing so. I hope that Tirtir actually does the refills for all the other shades, because in the event that if I do finish up this cushion foundation, either I purchase the shade that is not really like meant for me, or if not, it means that I have to buy the whole cushion alone by itself, which I'm just like, do I really want to do that? I do recognize that Tirtir is like a smaller brand that is suddenly gaining a lot of traction and it's really like rising to the top together with all the other bigger beauty brands like Clio, Espoir, Etude, all that kind of mainstream brands. I feel that they should include the refills in the box itself, because like all the other brands are doing it. Maybe it's like a cost thing, a business thing. The bare minimum is actually to sell the actual refill itself, the exact same extensive list. Maybe it's like a logistics thing which I'm not aware of as a consumer. Would I recommend this cushion? Yes. I would give it like a 7 out of 10 because I really do like how this cushion performed and wore, and the great shade range, the colors itself. I think it actually looks, like a human being. Like, I don't look paper white. Wow. The bare minimum, honestly. But also, The shade range itself is great. I love the fact that more people are able to test out and try out K-beauty formulas and foundations and all that good stuff. So you know what? The more the merrier. I think the only downside is the cost of buying one cushion alone by itself, and also the fact that we don't get a refill when you buy the cushion, because we have been already kind of like used to having a set itself with the refill. I think if you live in a cooler climate, somewhere that is less humid, a little bit drier, not so hot and sweaty, I think you have a great experience with the Tirtir Cushion Foundation. Even with whatever I'm experiencing, you'll experience it like even better, because I think you have less instances of product actually lifting off, because it's very natural to sweat and all that. So I cannot stop myself from sweating here. So obviously product will lift off, all that kind of thing. And it's I just gotta live with it. You gotta roll with the punches. As always, I highly recommend you guys check for swatches online, find somebody with a similar skin tone and undertone, and also it's best to swatch it in stores, see it with your own eyeballs, and step out of the store, see the swatches in different lighting, because indoor and outdoor lighting will always look different. But I also know that Tirtir is only readily available right now in Japan and Korea, so if you're going there, maybe you can swatch it there, but if not, check online really. And if you have tried out this cushion foundation, let me know your thoughts down below. I feel like a couple of you already have tried it out, so you know what, maybe you'll help somebody in need, help a friend out, let them know your experience, and I will see you guys in my next video, which you can find over here.